Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
At Burger King, when it comes to value, you make the rules. Introducing the You Rules of Value. And you rule number 1, you choose food you actually want. With 7 tasty options, you can have it your way. Try the $5 Duo or $7 Trio. From BK Classics to Fan Faves. Choose your deal. Price and participation vary. U.S. only. No substitutions. Restrictions apply.
You rule! Imagine that this line represents the time. Present 1985. Future. Past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate you, me, and Einstein. Reality for everyone else.
Welcome back to the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Last time, we pulled a thread with our guest, Coco Sianne Ryder, and what we uncovered was more chilling than we could ever predicted. That episode, Hidden Shadows of a Secret World, posed a sliver of the truth behind the occult practices, mind control, and celebrity lineage with the deepest, darkest corners of the entertainment system. The reaction was seismic. Since then, Coco has continued her mission to expose this systematic darkness, appearing on platforms like The Gareth Ike Show, to connect her personal trauma to the larger architecture of global control, censorship, and powerful elites. Tonight, we're going to dive into the audience questions you, the listeners, have been demanding answers to. Get ready to go deeper than ever before. Welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole. And welcome back, Coco. How you doing today?
Hello. Very good. Thank you.
Good, good. So you have been busy, very busy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least with Gareth Ike. Gareth Ike, how was that experience?
I don't know. It's, I get so nervous around these things that I kind of go into an autopilot mode and I just go for it. Try not to think about it too much.
I just imagining what Jeff would say to that. Jeff loves that. He calls it the flow state, and
Right.
It's what he claims he performs the best in.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
but Gareth Ike, that is a humongous platform, and I know that our numbers ticked quite well after your episode came out on his show. What was the overall response by the public to that show from your point of view?
A lot of people seem to really like the way that I express myself. They said the way that I spoke was eloquent and that I had a sort of balanced point of view on all of these very difficult topics. So that was what I got mostly from the comment.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the feedback I had too from our show. A lot of people sending a lot of respectful comments, a lot of messages from people sending me questions to ask you for a follow-up episode, because we had discussed at the end of our last episode that you would come back on and talk to us. Unfortunately, today it's just me. Jeff had something pop up pretty much last minute, so he is not able to make this, but I've got a ton of questions to go through that we can easily fill up all this time with. So, and it all comes from either the comment section on some of our platforms, with most of them actually coming from private direct messages from people who have listened to either our episode with you or Gareth's episode with you. There's a lot of people that even made mention in their messages to me that they haven't listened to our episode yet at this time, but that you were absolutely amazing on Gareth's episode. And they had questions for me to ask you, guessing that they just had a feeling that you'd be coming on this show again before going back on Gareth's, which I would assume you would. I watched that episode myself and it was phenomenal. You did great. You did.
Thank you.
You're going to be a natural podcaster. So actually, before we get on that, or before we get on to some of the questions, let's talk about Tracing the Circle. How's that journey going for you?
Well, I actually wrote up the first episode months ago when I was thinking about writing a book, and then I kind of turned it into this whole doing a podcast thing because I decided to just come out with my story through this platform. So I might as well do it in that way, and it's a good way to reach people. I finished writing it like last week, and I'd like to be more spontaneous, but the writing kind of helps me to get into this whole new journey. And the podcast itself is more about kind of positive growth and self-exploration and trying to inspire and motivate people. So I'm talking less about the kind of stuff that I'll talk about in interviews with other people, because I don't want to make that dark stuff like the center of my life. You know, I want to make the center of my life something that inspires goodness, you know, and it's a good thing to expose the dark things that I'm talking about, but it shouldn't necessarily be the center of my focus, you know?
Yeah. We're gonna kind of dive into a little bit of dark stuff tonight too. A lot of questions from people that are very interested in some of this darker stuff. And by all means, if I ask a question tonight that you're not comfortable answering, which some of these are gonna, they're gonna dig pretty deep, just let me know and we'll move on to the next one. I did, when I first started gathering these questions after our first episode, I would ask everybody, hey, if I use your question on the show, would you like me to attach your name to it or anything like that? And overwhelmingly, people said no. Okay. So I left all of this without any names attached to it. That way I can ask your questions and people can still remain anonymous with the questions. There were one or two of them I pulled out of Gareth Ike's comment section, and I'll notate which one of those are if I end up reading them off tonight, just so that we can send people to the right place. But like I said, most of these are from my own DMs or comment section on our episode together. Anything that you got before we move into the questions?
No, yes, I do have a list here of things that I'd like to go through.
Perfect.
About the black magic and the magic and the various things that go on there. But we have plenty of time to go through all of that start to finish. Take like an hour. So I'm ready now to go through all of these questions, answer any,
all right.
So yeah.
Well, good. Mm-hmm. Good. All right. So one of them I've already kind of asked the first part to, so I'll just read the question in full, and then the second part is really where the question will be, because the first part I've already pretty much asked, like I said. But how has the public response been since your first appearance? We've talked about that. Yeah. And have you received any validation or any pushback on the claims you made about the hidden shadows you discussed?
Not really. The only criticism that I saw come up a couple of times was that I was a bit vague, and that I was not really saying, I was saying a lot, but not really saying anything.
Hmm.
which is perfectly fine. I think it was more to do with the nature of the questions being asked that I was happy to answer, and the style of interview, because he was a radio host. They have a very particular way of going about things. And I think he understood that in that interview, he was sort of gathering information so that maybe for another interview, he
Hmm.
would have more questions to ask. So
Of
that's the
course.
only criticism that I really got from that.
We had a few comments that aligned pretty close with that, right? The vagueness even in our show. And I felt like you were way more open on our show, but
Yeah.
a little bit, right? But I would just like to remind people, you got to put yourself in her place, right? This is her first time coming out about this stuff. So
I have something to say about that.
yeah,
People
go ahead.
want details of events. They want me to recollect certain events and name names and say, this is where that happened and this is the date. And while I can do that, and I'm sure in some instances I will do that, that's not necessary. I don't need to do that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm trying to convey, for one, 12 years of experience of fighting against the dark network, which is 12 years. That's a long time. You learn a lot. So just repeating events, regurgitating events, that's useless when I have gathered so much valuable insight into how it works. That's where the valuable information is. And then, of course, I have my entire life, 31 years of experience of being born into this particular world. What's more valuable is the things that I've learned, not repeating things that have happened. So I'll just say that one.
No, it's a good point. It really is. It's not. What would I guess my follow-up question to anybody leaving those kind of comments would be, what would they do with that information anyways? I don't see what it would do. It's the fact that we have somebody on record putting pen to paper and saying this is happening. I think that's, in my point of view, more important, right? We have somebody that's taking a step forward and being brave about it. All right. So the second question that I had here. So you spoke about mind control within the entertainment industry. Can you elaborate on what you meant by lineage of celebrity? And I guess a follow-up part, and this is strictly mine here, and this is something I'm curious about. Do you believe that it was your lineage that made you a target for this particularly?
Well, this is interesting because actually it's the very first thing that I wrote down on my list to talk about. How do they select individuals? So there's multiple reasons, and it really depends on what kind of interest they have in you. It can be to do with bloodline and lineage. In my case, I think it's probably less to do with bloodline, though there might be something there that I'm not really aware of, and more to do with, when I say less to do with bloodline, I'm talking about the elite bloodlines. So that's a whole other thing. But the fact that my grandfather is Donovan, my father is Sianne Ryder, there is obviously something unique and special about my family to have all of this energy, all of this creative energy, and all of these individuals that have had a voice on the world stage in some way or another. And the fact that my great-grandfather was a Freemason might have something to do with it. So the fact that all of that is there, I'm exposed, right? So I'm born into this world where there are occultists, there is military, and there is intelligence involved. And they notice children that have been born. Now, sometimes you get lower level individuals who see certain children that have been born and they go, this could be a good cash cow just because of who their parents are. But then you have much more interesting side, which is you have people who are into astrology, and they can tell just by your birth chart or even your birth date or even your life path number in numerology that you are a powerful individual and can have a very successful future in certain things. and they can figure out how you might be useful. And then you have people who are literally just able to see your energy, see your spark. They can look at you and they just know this one is special. This one is useful. And obviously there are different purposes. There are different kinds of usefulness. There are usefulness in the sense of just harvesting energy. And then there's usefulness in the sense of we can put this person into the entertainment sphere or the political sphere, and we can groom them and train them for a particular career path. And that happens in military as well, in politics, and even in the criminal world in different ways. So the fact that I'm born into this world means that I'm surrounded by people who are paying attention to these things. I'm surrounded by individuals who have already this kind of lifestyle, this kind of mindset, you know?
So, all right, let's move into one, because I feel like this is, it's not a direct segue, but it's a pretty good one. This is probably the most asked question that I got, and this is one that I also grabbed from Gareth's comment section, but also from my comment section, also from multiple DMs. What's next? So after revealing such profound secrets, right? What is your personal focus now? What are your next steps in this whole endeavor?
Well, I've only just begun to reveal how the magic works and the mind control works. And then there's a technological aspect that I'll get to, not in this interview fully.
Looks like we lost her.
In another
it's
one.
Like,
there's a lot of very important things
the
I'd like to go
doesn't want
into
us talking
detail
about this.
because it doesn't just concern me, it concerns
no.
the human race.
Give her a second to come back on.
Because as I said
by the
in
way,
the
I see
previous
that we have a ton of
podcast
people
with
on
you, the
YouTube
previous
right now.
episode
That's
with
cool.
you,
We don't get a ton
everything
of
they do to their
people watching
targets is
live on
eventually
YouTube.
done
So shout out to the
masses.
people on YouTube.
So all of the
appreciate you checking in.
warfare that I've
If you guys have questions for her, please
happening
send
to
them
the
into the
masses
comment
now,
section,
and it
and
has
we'll
a particular
try to get them in
long-term
for you.
purpose. So I would like
She'll be
to
right back, hopefully.
learn
Unless we got
how to
completely
reveal
shut
to the
down.
best of my ability these
Somebody's in the comment section. Let me know if you're still getting the
secrets
stream. How
and
about that?
these
Can you help me out with that?
methods and these
Let's
practices.
see.
And that's something that's going to take a while for me to get good at. For one, because I'm not used to talking about this stuff. It's like, you know,
maybe not.
imagine not being able to speak your whole life and then suddenly you have to learn how to speak. You know, I'm not used to talking about this stuff. I hardly even write about it in my own journals. So I'm going to try my very best to articulate the magic and the mind control. That's very important. But I guess
thanks.
I said it before,
Appreciate
that
you.
my goal is
same
to try
thing.
and inspire
I do not
and
see her either.
move people and to help
Waiting for
people
her to
shift
return.
into a
For those
certain
of you that are
perspective
watching, I
of
appreciate
life
you
that helps them
hanging out.
transcend fear and division
Having a
and
little bit of
polarization
difficulties with
to
Coco
be able to
right
be
now.
more
I
at
don't
peace
know
with
where she
things
went.
so that you can more
Let's
effectively
see.
act
Shoot her a
in the
message
world
here.
around you. Because so many people
I
are
was right in the middle of a
thinking and
question
acting and behaving from a
about
place of fear
what
and
her
panic
next
because of
steps
everything
are
that's
in
going
all
on
of
in the
this
world, and it's not
coming
it's
out
not
to the
helpful.
public.
In order for us to make the most effective change, we have to first be in a place of peace. And I'm learning how to do that myself, and I hope that on my journey in learning how to do that, I can share it with others.
Almost the entirety of my listeners on Twitch. Looks like everybody's here from. Sorry, anybody who's still watching on YouTube. Here she comes. She's coming in.
When
There
did I
she
cut
is.
out?
I'm not sure. Well, if you don't mind, we could just jump right back to the beginning of that question.
You asked me a question about my goal.
So was that just a quick? Was that a technical issue on your end, or
No idea.
no? Looks like we're talking about things people don't want us talking about.
Hopefully
okay.
It was just technical problem.
Let's see. I did get somebody while you were away there for a second saying that I should introduce you to Paul from Understanding Conspiracy. I'm guessing it's a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely look into that. See if
I
that's
will.
a route you want to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding conspiracy.
Understanding conspiracy.
Yep. All right. So the question that I had for you was, let's see. Yes. What's the next steps in all of this? Where are you going with the next phase of this kind of stepping out into the limelight?
Okay, I did have a very, very good answer. I hope I can repeat it.
Sorry.
So the next step is obviously to go into a lot more detail about the mind control and the magic, because there is so much there. I'm definitely not answering it as best as I did last time. Yeah, the next step is to the best of my ability, go into as much detail as I possibly can about how the magic works and how the mind control works. It's very important that I do that because, as I mentioned in the last episode with you, that everything that they do to their targets and the people in their immediate life, they eventually do on the masses. And so the spiritual warfare applies to mankind, and then the mind control aspect that comes with it and after it also is applied to mankind. So I feel it's a very important thing, a very important time to try and articulate as best as I can. Are you still there?
Uh-oh. Lose her again? Coco, no.
Hello?
Looks like we got you back.
That was just for a second, right?
Yeah, that wasn't.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, give me a minute.
No, it's okay. It's trust me, I understand when the flow state gets interrupted. It's pretty tough to recover.
It's annoying. I'll be fine.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back in Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+.
We switched bodies. I am freaking out right now.
I think I just peed a little.
It's an absolute riot. And the only movie that can be described as
so much weirder than the last time. What last time?
It's the frequel.
You ready?
We've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+, rated PG.
Say hello to the all-new Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do so much more for you. Need tickets to see your favorite artist? Craving your comfort restaurant? Just sit back, relax, and talk naturally. Alexa's on it. It learns your style, anticipates what's next, and makes it happen across Echo, Fire TV, and more. Learn more at amazon.com/new Alexa.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet. So switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. So yeah, this is where I was going with that. My ability to communicate these things is not great because I kept all of this to myself for so many years. Imagine not speaking your whole life and then suddenly being expected to know how to speak. That's how I feel right now. And I've written a lot in my own journals and diaries, and I talk to myself a lot. But talking to other people about these things, it's a learning process, and I would like to learn as best as I can how to describe and explain all of these things so that it can maybe help mankind. And then in the long run, the long-term goal is to help shift people's perspectives in a way, in what I'm going through myself, which is to shift my perspective out of a fear-based mindset and go into a mindset of peace and acceptance, which is what I'm learning to do right now. Because if you're in a place of fear and panic and overwhelming sadness and pain, you cannot act to the best of your ability to effect change. So in order for you to change the things to the best of our ability, we have to first be at peace. And we can only find peace with all the horror in the world if we first accept it. And that's something that we all really refuse to do. Why would I accept all this horror? I have to be in panic. I have to be afraid. I have to be angry. And of course, these are all natural responses, but it clouds the mind. It clouds the vision. And so I'm hoping that sharing my own journey in overcoming these obstacles, these mental obstacles, will help others to shift their perspective and be more compassionate and more peaceful and more courageous in the way that they approach the problems going on in the world.
Well, good stuff. I like the way that you're approaching all of this. It's I know a lot of people were kind of leaving comments about the whole vagueness and everything, but there's a lot of safety that has to be kept in mind with releasing a lot of this stuff. Before we jump into some more stuff, I just want to give a shout out to YouTube. There's a ton of people that are chiming in on YouTube right now, or at least on the watcher count. I have a couple comments coming through. This is not our normal recording time. We're actually about 3 hours early, trying to help Coco out. So that she's not doing the interview at 3 a.m. again. So she'd be a little cognitive. So I just want to give a shout out to the people on YouTube. We usually don't get a huge watcher list from YouTube.
So we're live. We're live on YouTube right now as well.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're live on all of my socials right now.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we typically go live everywhere. My volume is lower than Coco. Uh-oh.
What's that?
Can you hear me tapping?
Yeah.
Looks like we got a couple podcasts that I've talked about you recently.
Oh, really?
Yep. Knights of the Storm on Rumble, and then we got somebody else. Karen Carpenter said that she shared a clip from Coco on her podcast yesterday too. So Karen, if you can drop the name of your podcast, I'll go ahead and give you guys a shout out too. So
that's awesome.
All right. So you're getting a lot of playtime right now, getting out there, and I'm happy to be able to do that for you. And I appreciate you coming on this show. That's awesome. But you're really reaching a lot of people right now. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the whole just generally reaching more people with this information?
You know, in a very kind of like calm and balanced way, it terrifies me. As I said at the beginning, I'm terrified of success, because it means that once you succeed in something, you have to keep going, because you've got all of this encouragement, and it's good encouragement. And I'm so used to being so stagnant in my life. And then being connected to all of these people, so many people that are inspired by you. And there's always that idea of, or that notion that if they had entered into the wrong pocket of your mind and got to know you better, they might not actually like you. And so is any of this really genuine? There's that, I don't know if I'm overthinking. I probably am overthinking it, because I feel things very deeply, and I get attached to people. I really feel deep connections and attachments to people. And it's very strange to connect with so many strangers all at once. There's a whole philosophical conundrum there that's just running through my whole being. So I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, I think that it's legit, right? People definitely are very interested in what you have to say. They have a lot of respect for what you have to say. People are showing up to this episode right now just to hear you talk. I could tell you right now, I don't usually have these numbers on YouTube when I talk. So it's definitely, there's a lot showing here for the respect that people have for you. And it looks like the Knights of the Storm was the name of that podcast. So I don't know if we have two people from the same podcast here or if it's one person, but I do apologize. Knights of the Storm, check that out if you guys want to hear a clip from Coco and hear their takes on it. But all right, you ready for another question?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Protective measures. We've talked a lot about vagueness and everything, right? What are some other protective measures that you are utilizing in order to make sure that you're not necessarily putting out too much information or putting out the wrong information or any information that's going to get you necessarily in trouble?
I think the last 12 years of my silence was my protective measure, because the last 12 years of my silence, I've been figuring out how best, or I've been figuring out, not been figuring out, I mean, after 12 years of silence, I only now have come to the conclusion of what's of the best value to share, what will help people. The fact that I held my tongue for 12 years and allowed myself to develop and grow and to get a better grasp on what's going on. The fact that I have the last 12 years mostly learnt the things that I've learnt through my intuitive capacity, my claircognitive and claircognizance and clairsentience, those capacities that I have that have caught the attention of some very dangerous and powerful occultists. Those capacities have allowed me to uncover and reveal all of these secrets without actually being deeply involved in all of these things. I think I mentioned before that I'm the kind of person, yes, in the last podcast, I'm the kind of person that's not supposed to know any of these things that are going on, but I do, because I just pay a lot of attention, and it's pissed off a lot of people who invested a lot in me to go down certain roads, let's say yellow brick roads that they had paved for me so many times. I didn't go down it, and that's upset people. So the protective measure is really the fact that I don't really have any information that could put me in any immediate danger because of the way I came about the information. Now, I could be really stupid and start saying a lot of names and places and times and things that I don't really have evidence for, but could definitely upset a few people. And that's to do with the aspect of the criminal network that utilizes children. But I don't have anything that I can say that could make any difference there. All it could do is bring problems into my life. It's not going to help anyone. So if I wasn't being smart, that could, focusing the energy on the wrong area, right? So the main protective measure is my energy at the moment, staying out of fear frequency, and having an ideal and a goal, which is to the benefit of myself and everyone that I can reach. Something that is positive and good. That is my protective measure. And again, that might sound vague because I'm not going into, all these physical things that I can do, but none of those physical things that you can do to protect yourself really matter if you're not on the right energy, wavelength and frequency of peace, acceptance, and looking toward upliftment and growth and goodness in my life.
So have you had any discussions with your grandfather or even your father about stepping out, about your appearances on either my show or on Gareth Ike's show? Have you talked to them about any of this yet?
I don't really talk to my father a lot. I still haven't sent them their Christmas gifts from last year. My grandfather, I really hope that no one in my family sees any of these interviews. They probably will. And I'm prepared for that. But really, no, I don't think me sharing any of this stuff is going to make them very happy. Because for one, I don't think they really understand why I'm doing it. And that's fine. But no, I mentioned on Gareth Ike that if I try to talk to my grandparents about these things, they have these protective self-defense barriers where they can't really talk about the dark things going on around them in their life. They have to focus on the good things. And I think that's perfectly fine for people their age, coming from the world that they came from, the 60s and everything. That's their path. And it's my path to unravel all of the darkness. And that's not an easy thing to take on.
Well, that question came live off of one of our YouTube watchers, MK Iggy. So I just wanted to make sure I give credit to them. I added a little bit about your grandfather, but just thank you for posting your questions in the comments. Please have them keep coming, and I'll fit them in when I can for sure. Something that I'm pretty curious about: has there been any censorship push towards you in this at all from either the entities that have originally done any of this to or with you, or from mainstream media entities, anything at all? Has there been any effort to try to censor you?
I think the effort to try to censor me has, been ongoing for the last 12 years. They were more preventative measures. And now I'm at this point, I realize that most of what they do is an illusion. They're masters of illusion. So I'm here, I'm talking. Maybe in the last couple of weeks, some things have popped up here and there, but nothing that I don't really want to talk about that or focus my energy on that, because I don't want to feed into that. I don't want to feed into that. Let's just say I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm going to keep going ahead, and nothing's stopping me.
So I got another question that just came through. This is from that podcast, Knights of the Storm. Looks like we have the two hosts in here right now. One of those hosts wants to know, did you know immediately that COVID was a trauma mind control agenda?
Well, I mean, I've been following people like David Icke and Alex Jones since I was 16. They've been talking about the huge, what are they? Those huge facilities where they have body bags and stuff since I was 16. So they've been talking about they're going to do this big thing for so many years, and that was the big thing. So yes, I knew immediately that was the big thing. The question is, did I think that the virus was real, was a real threat from the beginning? And honestly, I don't think I did. I don't think I ever took it seriously at all. Because for one, in the history of mankind, when if we locked down the entire planet all at once for a virus? If we're going to die, let us fucking die. Who's supposed to die is going to die. And you can't stop that kind of transmissible virus. You can slow it down slightly, but you can't stop it from reaching its end goal. You can't. So there's no point in shutting down the whole world. So for me, this is all performative from the first moment.
I just want to share a little bit of information that so recently we've been kicked off of TikTok. And I think the whole TikTok and how that's been influenced, or the influence that it's had on just the global script, if you will. When COVID first started, and I'm probably going to get some sort of message from YouTube or some other socials that we're on right now about how I shouldn't say naughty words like COVID. But when COVID first started, I remember
we could say lockdowns instead of COVID.
Oh, I don't care. I personally couldn't care less.
Right.
No, I do a podcast on conspiracies, and it is what it is. It's the nature of it.
It is. There you go.
So I remember when the whole COVID thing first started. I was still in the Navy at the time, and I remember two specific clips on news channels, pretty much anywhere where I was, because I want to say I was traveling back and forth between Virginia and California to do some detachments during that time frame. And it was, I believe, France was one of them. There was a hospital in France, or many clips coming out of France, where they were showing the body bags that you had just talked about, right? Where they were just lining them up outside of the hospital. But I think the real mistake that they made was that they also were showing clips from hospitals in New York City, and people were flooding to TikTok, nurses and other practitioners in the medical field that are around or in these hospitals were sending clips of them unloading these body bags out of shipping containers, and truckloads of them. Instead of taking them away from the hospital, they were loading them up outside to basically they were staging this. And it was really eye-opening to myself at that time that, this is kind of like my aha moment. My co-host Jeff, that would typically be here with us tonight, is he understands how this stuff goes already, but this was kind of like my introduction to hey, everything you see is not how it actually is.
Yeah.
You're being controlled. And, you know, when you come on and you talk about the stuff that you went through, and you're seeing a lot of parallels, right? You're just seeing it on a smaller scale. You're seeing it happen to one person. And we specifically talked about a gathering that you attended last time we talked, right? That's a smaller scale. And of course there wasn't body bags, but there's still a lot of parallels there.
Yep.
I just thought that was interesting. And I also wanted to just say, fuck you, TikTok, because, you know, whatever. It just doesn't like some of the things that we talk about here on the show, but whatever. It is what it is. So, but no current censorship or anything like that. Nothing since the 2 episodes have come out where people are like, hey, don't you talk about that.
Look, the way it works is that they do it symbolically. You go for a walk and maybe someone next to you will say something and it'll sound like it's to someone else, but it will be like a threat. Or maybe there's just things that I really just don't want to mention because they're just so negative and I don't want to put that out there. But those kinds of things would be symbolic. It would have to be in a symbolic way around me because that's how they get away with what they do all the time. And then, of course, I have a big interview coming up on the 11th, and for some reason on the 11th, that's the day that the people are coming to take the internet away because we canceled it because I don't want internet in the house anymore. And I just find it funny that they've chosen that particular day when I'm going to do a very big interview, and I don't have any other way to use the internet right now because my partner's away for a couple of weeks, so I'm in the countryside, and all I've got is my phone internet and the landline internet. So hopefully it will work out on the day of the big interview. So I'm more like looking out for things like, you know, is the internet going to work? That kind of thing. I think it will be fine. I think if anything, there'll be a few moments here and there where it'll go out, you know. It's about illusion more than anything else.
Yeah. I've been doing this podcast for 5 years now, and I can tell you one thing from experience with it. It's when you start getting into the really deep topics that internet just randomly cuts out. It's crazy. And I know a lot of people, there'll be messages in my DMs after this episode goes live where, you know, because when you had broken off there for a minute, the interruption that we had, I had said, oh, somebody doesn't want us talking about this. And I make mention of that pretty much every time that it happens. And somebody wants to message me and say, man, you know, you stop getting full of yourself. You know, nobody cares about your little podcast or whatever. And it's like, well, it's pretty convenient that every time it happens, it's specifically when we're diving into some really dark stuff. We never get this when we talk about, like, let's say cryptids. Like if we're talking about Bigfoot with a Bigfoot researcher, we don't get interrupted. But when we're talking about like some of the really deep, dark, twisted truths of the underbelly of the celebrity lifestyle and world
and the network,
then the internet goes out. You know,
most of these people are under surveillance all the time.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. And
of course.
Yeah. Cool. Let's trying to keep it going. I have a bad habit of sidetracking into other things. I do it all the time. That's why it's called the Infinite
let me know when we get to like just a bit over.
Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55% so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.
An hour, because I would eventually like to get into some of these things.
Well, how about this? Let's dive into what you're wanting to get into so we can make sure we get that. And then with any time at the end, if you want to answer some more questions, then we'll dive into that. And if not, I mean, you're always welcome to come back on the show. We've talked about possibly doing a third already, so there'll be questions for next time too.
Well, something that my grandparents taught me, my grandfather was one of the most famous people on the planet for quite a few years. And that does something, that's a lot. He could have spent the rest of his life in very influential and powerful circles. But for whatever reason, and there's good reasons and bad reasons, he decided to live a more low-profile life, sold his mansion and bought houses in more normal residential areas and went to theaters or clubs that were more intimate rather than doing large tours and things like that. And whenever we stayed in nice hotels, we wouldn't stay in it's one of those big ones like the Four Seasons and stuff like that. We wouldn't stay in those huge, massive, fancy hotels. We had the money to, but we'd stay in the more intimate ones. And instead of buying Gucci and Prada, they would buy, things from boutiques that were handmade. And so I had this, lived this kind of life where my family had all of the potential to go in all of these big directions, but they decided to keep things small and intimate. And I'm very glad that I had that subtle influence in the background, because now I'm doing this thing. I'd rather build a good relationship with a few people and build a solid following than just charge ahead and just get the next big thing and the next big thing and the next big thing. I don't need that. I don't need it. So coming back and doing more thorough interviews and doing things slowly and building things up, and it's more real, it's more authentic, and it's more effective, in my opinion.
No, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's a nice controlled release of what you've been through and the information that you want to put out there. I respect it for sure. So what else do you got? What would you like to talk about tonight?
So we already went into a little bit, one of those first questions on how they select. And I guess I could talk a bit more about that. Honestly, it was better when we did this interview when it was 3-5 in the morning, because I was
you weren't fully lucid.
Yes. Oh, I was way more relaxed. Anyway, so how do they select people?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Birth charts, proximity, meaning, are there certain clusters of cults or military or various aspects of the criminal network, and there's someone in the nearby neighborhood that might spark interest. And then obviously you have the energetic aspect. These people, they can see someone's energy. And actually someone mentioned on your podcast under our episode on YouTube, the movie Dr. Sleep. And it's incredibly realistic. It's terrifyingly realistic. It was very hard for me to watch it. I've watched it a few times. It's a great movie. But the way that the group of magicians or whatever they are selected the children to feed on their soul, to give them immortal life and all of these various spiritual powers is very accurate. they sense, they can go around and sense energetically the people around them. And then, of course, you have bloodline aspect of if you're within a certain family, it doesn't matter if you have a special occult power or not, you're still somewhat targeted for specific usefulness and purposes. In my case, just the fact that I was born into a famous family, I'm already exposed to all of these kinds of people who are looking out for these kinds of people. And then I would say that if you have a particular birth chart, they look into your birth chart, they look into your potential future and potential power that you have and the potential money that you can generate if you're a child. They'll invest in you. And they don't need the permission of your parents. They'll just invest in you. They'll put you on a little list and be like, this person is going to be useful. And we're going to groom this person to grow up a certain way. And we're going to lead them down a certain path. And then they're going to get introduced to this person, introduced to that person, either music-wise or entertainment-wise. I'm just focusing on the entertainment aspect, but it applies to many different walks of life. So let's focus on the entertainment aspect. So they lead you into that world, and that's an investment. That investment of time and energy and thought of leading this person down this path, because eventually I can profit off of this person, whether it's financially or energetically. It's both, really. And then they do, obviously, the mind control aspect of it. So they'll have you taken at certain points during your childhood. They'll have you taken and drugged and put through various trauma-based mind control scenarios. I would say people like Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande were put through these types of trauma-based mind control things, and it creates sort of dissociative abilities so that they can use trigger words to send you into these dissociative states to tell you exactly what to do, where to go, and stuff like that. And because I didn't have a lot of exposure to the mind control aspect, I never got to that point of that type of manipulation and control. I went through certain things, but I never went through a complete program. So I don't have those dissociative capacities. I cannot be led, not how they would like me to be led. Anyway, so that's how they select people. And the reason why they select people for their various motives. And then, do you have any questions on that?
Yeah. What aspects of the birth chart are they looking at? Do you know?
Well, I'm not an astrologer. It really
I was
helps
going to
to
ask
have
if it had anything to do with astrology. Curious.
It really, really, really helps if you have the birth time of the individual. Because if you have the birth time, you can more or less accurately predict at what time in their life they'll be successful. But even without that, the birth time, you can have an idea of if someone has strong creative capacity or strong communication abilities, and whether or not they are very attractive to others. All the things you would want in someone in entertainment. So I can't give you specific signs or placements or anything like that. I'm not an astrologer, but an astrologer could. That's as much as I can say about that.
Yeah, I just wrote down because I don't have too much knowledge in the astrology world either, but it's something that I've always been interested in. I mean, I've always kind of been, I've been in the thought space, if you will, that if a subject has enough followers, there's a reason behind it, right? Just because I don't see personally a lot of connections to astrology and that kind of aspect of interest that people have, there's got to be something to it, because a lot of these people that are claimed or thought to be within these networks, right, especially in the celebrity side of things and the political side of things, we know that they are very heavily into astrology and other similar practices. So I actually just wrote down here, look for a good astrologer to see if...
Everything is based off of astrology. Everything. All of the sacred books, all of the big world events in history, everything. When they do various ceremonies like bringing in a new queen or a new king or a new pope or a new emperor or a new politician for thousands of years. Everything is based off of astrology. Everything.
Yeah,
Every single fucking...
I need to find a good guest that can really break that down.
Yes.
I had somebody come on, or was going to come on, who I thought was going to be able to break this down very well for us, but they blew us off 3 times in a row. Yeah, and it was the day of recording too.
No, that's terrible.
Looks like we got our first chat from Twitch. Looks like Twitch is starting to build back up. Spectrum Assassin, longtime listener of the show, comes in and checks us out all the time. Says it's numerology. It can be used to determine your type.
Sorry, it could be used?
It could be used to determine your type.
Yes. So that would be your birth path, your life path, all of that stuff, which is very useful. Now, I'll go into that, the point of astrology and numerology and everything. The entire universe is this vast web of cogs and wheels, and every single thing is connected. Everything. And if you are in tune in the right way, you can make connections between everything and reveal pretty much anything about anything. If you're in tune, if you can tune in onto that web, that vast universal web, everything is there. It's mathematics. And of course, you have to have a certain kind of mind to be an astrologer or a numerologist. You have to have a certain kind of mind. You can't just be a mathematician or a physicist. You have to be open to emotion, to shifts within human consciousness, to shifts within the human race at large, and the various ages and cycles that we go through. You have to pay attention to things. And then from a very personal point of view, in one outer body experience that I had many years ago, not many years ago, like 7 years ago, I went back in time, thousands of years, and I met these people that were living in a sort of desert landscape, in these sort of huts made out of leaves, like dried leaves and reeds and things, and they had pitch black skin, and they were painted in this fluorescent blue paint, and they were making jewelry and bags and things. And the person that I was watching looked at me in a way and told me, without moving his lips or speaking, he told me that a long time ago, people could talk to the stars as easily as people talk to each other today. As easily as that. And this might sound a bit nuts, but going into that aspect of making connections and figuring things out, and this kind of idea of physics, that there is no space between anything, there is no distance between anything. How does the internet work? How does information travel halfway across the planet instantaneously? It's the same system. That information can travel across an entire galaxy instantaneously.
There's a lot to unfold here. There's a lot to unfold in this one, because there's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of parallels. We had a gentleman that came on and specifically told us about his research into the star people from Native American lore, right? And they had a lot of mind speak and nonverbal communication between various Native American tribes throughout the United States and these star people, or star children, that they would call them, right? Depending on what the regional area of the country was, they had different names for them. And then you also have this whole sector of science, especially like psychologists, who it's kind of a emergent, if you will, of like a psychologist and an anthropologist, right? Who believe that verbal communication was built because of population, right? Because of the density of people with population density. Okay.
Right.
How many people you can fit
so
into a square mile.
The need for verbal communication became a need eventually. It became
Correct.
a necessity.
And there's so many different theories about this too. I've seen theories on this that go along the route of it's more calorically efficient to use verbal communication than it
Well,
would be to use mind power.
Helena Blavatsky, in her Secret Doctrine, goes into all of this very, very well on how the human race developed and how we went from a species that communicated through the mind at a time when the earth was covered in a thick mist, watery mist, and everything was dark. So we didn't really have need to see with our physical eyes. So we saw etherically and we spoke etherically. And we didn't really use our vocal cords, and slowly over time these things developed. Helena Blavatsky is where I go to for that kind of information. Be interested to look into what the people you're talking about.
There's two more aspects of the show that we've covered at one point or another. We had a huge, and this might be way outside of the box here on this particular episode, but we have had this one guest on a couple of times. His name's Carter Bushard, and he does specific research into communications of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, right, and other bipedal apes hidden in plain sight that utilize mind speak. He has an entire series of books dedicated to the study of this and his experiences with this. And now we're also seeing this other aspect in which we've talked a little bit on this. I'm actually going to be a part of a panel in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin on Mother's Day 2026. So if anybody's interested in that, come check me out there. I'll be with the CAPS team out in Fond du Lac, where we're going to be talking about CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. That's making a huge headway right now with how people are non-verbally or mind communicating with UFOs. They're able to control them or at least pull them into their local vicinity simply by utilizing this exercise known widely as CE5 now. So there seems to be an aspect of this making its way back into the world that we know, because if you look at all the news stations, at least over let's say the last year specifically, we've seen more UFO topics break the headlines than we've ever seen in the history of humankind, at least since 1952, when we had that huge flap of UFO spotted over the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. So there's a lot to be said about this nonverbal communication.
Well, in the United States, between the 70s and the 90s, there was a particular program, I think Stargate program, where they funded millions and millions of dollars into this program about remote viewing. They don't spend 2 decades spending millions on a program that doesn't work. And the whole point was that people could travel with their mind to any point, not just on this earth, but in the universe. So that was government money. So we really officially know that these things are possible. And honestly, I would say that a lot about technology and internet communications came from the studies, the early studies that they did with remote viewing and this type of where you can communicate with people across the globe or off globe. You know, the government knows about these things.
The government definitely knows about it. We had somebody in the chat on YouTube mention the Monasteric Oaths, right? That is a Hollywood movie based off of the Project Stargate and what they did, right? And you had a lot of major people like McGonagall, but there's
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's hilarious actually too.
It's really fun.
But
all the Jedi references was just amazing, because I don't know if you've seen the prequels of Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a Jedi in the prequels, and then he's the main character in Men Who Stare at Goats, and he makes references to the Jedi 4 times. It's just it's hilarious. It's so good.
I wish actually it might be a blessing that I don't have any of my co-hosts with me tonight, because I catch crap all the time because I've never seen Star Wars. So
you're not a movie guy, though. You're not a movie guy.
I am not. I have seen Men Who Stare at Goats, though. I have. Actually, I did a whole podcast on another show called the title of the show the podcast that we did with them was Podcasters Who Stare at Goats. It was all about that movie. So I had to watch it for that. But I just want to make mention, because I love books. Okay, if anybody's watching Infinite Rabbit Hole for the first time, you'll know I love books. But there is a book out there called Out There. See that? By Howard Bloom. And he actually goes into a lot of the really deep back history of Project Stargate and where it started. So it originally started off as a project called Scanate, which is a combination word, a compound word, combining the words scanning and coordinate, right? So Project Scanate was the original project, and he goes into a lot of specific events that happened in Washington, D.C., where they were testing all this out. Like this one sailor who was picked for the Project Scanate program, who was in a lead case room, and he had to find 9 different submarines around the base, or around the planet, and he was able to find them perfectly. And this is actually where Project Scanate split into 2 different programs, one of them being the Stargate program that we all know about now, that's been declassified.
You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
Wherever Bud goes, his harmonica goes with him. It's a pocket full of soul. Now he's living with prostate cancer. He asked his doctor about Xtandi and enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
I use Shipt same-day delivery to stay connected with my sister during the holidays. She lives across the country. Shipt has tons of stores to order from. Groceries from Albertsons, crafts from Michael's, even pet supplies from PetSmart. The list goes on. So when we have long-distance movie nights, I turn to Shipt to get face masks, snacks, and everything else we need delivered to her and to me same day. Download the app or visit Shipt.com. That's SHIPT.com.
And apparently, funny air quotes, shut down. Right? That's been discontinued. But then the other one, which is Project Aquarius, which there's a lot of theories about what Project Aquarius potentially could have been or is, one of which being highly, I would say, the real Project Blue Book, right? So Project Blue Book came out by the Air Force, and it was a whole research program. It was shit, really. What it was crap. But it's thought that Project Aquarius was the real reason behind that, because when they were testing all these people in Project Scanning and getting DC to pitch the funding for all of this, these people who were subject to the testing in front of congressmen and other big named or bigwig people in the government, they discovered that a lot of these nuclear submarines that they had at the time were actually being followed by UFOs, which gave birth to the whole Project Aquarius. It's a great book. I highly recommend it for anybody.
never heard that part of the story before.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I do, while we're on the subject of books, I bought a book last time we talked, like I do with a lot of my guests. I buy books all the time. The Astral Body and Other Astral Phenomena. You recommended this book to me. Does this cover any of the stuff that you were just talking about when it comes to like astrology and birth charts and stuff? Is that all covered in this? I haven't read it yet.
No, it's not. It's not an astrology book. It's one of, I think, 5 books about the various spiritual bodies of man, and it just tries to give a very detailed and thorough understanding of the function and anatomy, let's say, of each of these bodies. So it's a very, what do you call it? Like a very clinical kind of book, you know? It's very specific.
Well, all right. I didn't mean to derail us down that whole rabbit hole. I do that a lot. Sorry.
Well, that's what these long form podcasts are about. It's like a conversation between friends. So perfectly, it's great.
Good.
Yeah.
What else did you have for us tonight? I know you said you had a list of things.
Oh man.
I love the participation by YouTube right now. Their chat is blowing up. It's amazing because we don't, like I said, we don't get a lot of people watching on YouTube, especially the live shows. We do get a lot of people watching the reruns or the on-demand stuff where they could just click on an episode and watch it. But I mean, we are.
Yeah, no, I noticed your subscriber amount went up a lot since the interview, so they probably.
Yeah, the Gareth Ike episode, where you were on with him, really propelled our YouTube presence. It's been great. By the way, your episode with us has over 1,500 viewing hours attached to it now, which is amazing. So thank you for that. Oh no, are you frozen? She was going to the list, everybody. I have you double on here now. Is that going to kick over to...
What, there's 2 of you?
I see 2 of you. On my screen, on Riverside at least.
I can hear your voice double as well. I don't know why.
Oh, no.
Whatever.
Looks like
it's still working. Okay. All right. I do have a lot. I have a lot to talk about. And I'm like looking at everything and I'm like overwhelmed. Okay. So I just got to like number 1 on the list, which is how do they select targets? I hope that was concise enough. If anyone has any questions about that, please go ahead. And now, very briefly, on how they do rituals on these individuals. Now, of course, this isn't my case, but you have people being physically brought into rituals that can be in underground facilities. It can be at people's private homes, and it can even be done in hotels. They'll have specific hotels where things like this can be done. And it's usually in a kind of quiet hotel, and they often have a certain kind of paintings on the walls that might be reminiscent of either the occult or sexual abuse and things like that, or mind control symbolism, stuff like that. So they'll have specific hotels where the person running the hotel knows what's going on, and they'll do rituals in these hotels. Some of the people like me, the targets, depending on, their particular situation, they can be sent either into a trance, or they can be drugged, or they can be basically unconscious or sent into a dissociative state so they have no memory of what's going on. And they can be brought into these rituals and used within these rituals for their energy, let's say. But when you bring in someone who has a very powerful spirit, soul, or energy, it's useful for their ceremonies and rituals. And in my personal opinion, most of the groups that do these rituals, they're all full of shit. They think they're doing some kind of high special magic, but they're all just a bunch of assholes. And it's very few occult groups that are actually doing very serious high magic. A lot of these people are just bored, perverted, old fucks who just want something to do. And yes, there is energy and spirituality, and there's magic going on, but it's not of a high order. It's a very lowly order, especially when you find these sort of cult-like groups in these small villages in the middle of nowhere, because they're everywhere. These cults, it can be in a village up a mountain in the middle of nowhere where you would least expect it, but there'll be signs, there'll be signs. So there's that aspect. But then on someone like me, who I don't have the dissociative aspect. Maybe there was 1 or 2 times in my life where I was taken without my knowledge. But if they're going to do rituals on me, it's either been in like an apartment that I was staying at. They'll rent out the apartment next door and they'll do a ritual next to me. Or within a hotel, I'll be staying at a hotel and they would have planned this in advance and they would have brought people into the hotel to do the ritual in another room with me close. But then, of course, you don't actually need to be in physical proximity. When you're asleep, they can call to you. They can call to you and they can summon your consciousness within a ritual and utilize your energy for their particular ritual. So another aspect that we spoke about in the previous podcast with you was how the network functions and where they get various practitioners and occultists. So you'll have very important, powerful occult groups who really know what they're doing. And they're sort of at the center. And there's more than one across the world, but they're sort of at the center of wherever they are. And then you have a lot of various occult groups and schools and groups, and where, even in my local town, they'll have, my local city, they'll have, you'll find these pamphlets around that are like inviting young students to come and try gnosis and Gnostic magic and stuff like that. They'll invite you, and then they have a lot of useful people that they can say, okay, we're learning how to do gnosis, or we're learning how to do magic, we're learning how to do psychic abilities and stuff like that in our little course. It's all very innocent, but the person within the course or within the group or the teacher or the master, they're connected to this network. And if some higher up within the network needs to utilize some individual for some lower kind of work, to say, for example, magically groom an individual in a certain way, they can contact one of the people within one of these groups where they're learning how to develop psychic power. And the teacher will go, hey, I want you to do a particular exercise. I'd like you to go to the bridge, and I'd like you at this specific hour, and I'd like you to tune in to this specific person, and they'll give them a name, or they'll give a photograph. I'd like you to tune in on this particular person, and I'd like you to call them to you. And they'll send their student off to the bridge, and the student will go there, and they'll go into their, whatever it is, meditation or trance or imaginative process, and they'll start calling this person energetically. And sometimes it can work and sometimes it cannot work. If the target is someone who's very psychically in tune, they'll go there. They'll think, I want to walk to the bridge. I don't know why, I just want to walk to the bridge. It's thought transference, basically. So they can use useful idiots for exercises like that on targets that they want to keep up with on a regular basis. But the people, the higher ups who are interested in that person, obviously they have lives, So I hope this is making sense, but to give an idea of how vast the network is and how that those aspects work. And then you have different levels of practitioners, right? You have the higher ups who are very well versed in magic and know exactly what they're doing. And then you have various skilled witches and psychics and seers and things like that they can use for various purposes, who are outside of the higher group. They don't take part in rituals. They don't show up to the meetings, but they're important contacts. And then the lower level people would be the ones, like I mentioned, the student that was sent on a certain task. And then the kinds of people that they use. They have low vibratory people and they have high vibratory people, depending on what kind of outcome they want. So they can use mentally ill people and they can use disabled people, because these people generate a lot of negative energy. They use them for generating negative energy. They use them for attracting demonic and low vibratory entities. They use them either within rituals or within targeting certain individuals energetically and spiritually. And then they can have people who are very high vibratory people, who are actually very beautiful, wonderful, incredible, amazing psychics and seers. And they use them when they want to inspire something within someone. And usually this high vibratory practitioner does not realize they are working for the network. They think they are doing a favor for a friend. So different levels of useful individuals for a hierarchy within the network. And then they have you have the different methods of magic. You have things sort of like voodoo. I won't say it's voodoo, but it's what we associate voodoo with, like shrines, candles, animal sacrifice, pins, and things like that. And all of that, you can have individuals who focus on doing that type of magic. Then you have individuals who do ceremonial magic, which is usually more than one person, but can be one person on their own. The ceremonial magic is the kind of classic, what you would consider Crowleyan magic, where they draw the circle and they have a dagger and they have certain words that they chant to certain gods and things like that. And then you have trance and meditation, where a person is either on their own or in a group and they just go into a trance. They go into a meditation. Every group, every practitioner has their own thing. And then, of course, you have the astral travel, which can happen when you lay down and you leave your body. Or you have the remote viewing. And the remote viewing is very interesting because when you're seeking to target someone energetically and magically. But before I go into that, one of the training methods for remote viewing, well, just for building up spiritual abilities in general, is learning how to transfer your consciousness into objects or animals. So you'll go into a meditation and you'll learn you'll focus on transferring your consciousness into this jar of honey, and you'll imagine seeing the room around you from that jar of honey's perspective. And you'll do that with things around you, and then you can do it with a tree, and then you'll move up to practicing with animals to transfer your consciousness into animals, which is something that's well known with mythology. You know, the witch who transfers her consciousness into a crow.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of birds, a lot of them.
Yeah, birds. And then you have the whole thing about werewolves, where it was dark sorcerers transferring their consciousness into wolves so that they could go and satiate their desire to munch on that particular. I took from this particular kind of story I've taken from the book that you've got. There's a section in there about werewolves that you might find fun. Anyway, so where was I going with this? Transferring the consciousness into objects, into things, to build up your spiritual abilities and awareness and your psychic abilities. Now, when you're targeting an individual to either gain control over them spiritually or to harvest their energy or turn them into a battery, you can use that kind of remote viewing or transferal consciousness going into their body. You want to transfer your consciousness into you can't take over someone's body, not without very hardcore, serious, continuous work. It's a lot of work because you have to break through all of the barriers, all of the spiritual bodies. You have to put holes through them. You have to bring them down lower vibratory. We have natural
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned. What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes
to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Defense mechanisms around us, but they can get to a certain stage of degradation through this process where they can transfer their consciousness into certain organs of yours and certain chakras within your body. And those would be exercises to slowly, eventually the goal is to have as much control over you as possible and to disconnect your human consciousness from your soul consciousness. And this goes back into the idea of selling your soul, because the human being is supposed to be more or less guided by their soul, which is guided by God. And if you can muck up all of the various things that we have in place to connect us to our soul, that guidance is not so easily given. So they want to replace the guidance from your soul with the guidance from the occultist. That's the closest thing you can get to selling your soul. Your soul is still there, but they've pushed it down into this, as far away from your physical consciousness as possible. And then they've taken that role of guidance. So now occultly and magically, they can send you ideas. They can tell you where to go and tell you what to think through magical means. Now, of course, you can do this with mind control technology as well. But I think the mind control stuff, if it's done to a real extent, that it's doing all of those things as well. It's breaking you down spiritually. And I don't think that the mind control really works without the degradation of the spirit bodies. Any questions?
Yes, got a bunch. Let's see. Just working from the bottom up. One from YouTube. Can you ask her if they use drugs and addicts for harvesting and as conduits or portals? I think of people who use methamphetamine and the shadow people they commonly see. It's actually a great question.
Well, yes, that could be very possible because drug addiction, you generate a lot of chaotic energy and they utilize this chaotic energy in their own magic. So yes, that's very possible. As I said, that they use mentally ill people. There could be drugs involved as well. When I say they use mentally ill people, I mean really they'll bring in someone who's very mentally ill into a cult-like setting. They'll teach them spiritual practices, ceremonial magic and things like that, knowing that that person is deeply disturbed and that they will generate a lot of negative energy. And it's like you have a toolkit. You're one of these elites. You have a toolkit. Who do I need to use today? This very mentally disturbed individual with very negative things surrounding them who's also has knowledge of magic? Or do I need a very high vibratory, spiritually sound individual for the work that I wish to achieve in this particular goal? So they have this vast toolkit of different kinds of individuals that they can utilize for occult purposes, which is it's nuts.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of connections made here. Last time you were on, we talked heavily, or briefly, but heavily, on the concept of the chakra and how the sexual chakra was often manipulated by some of these people within the network in order to gain control. So I'm seeing a lot of connections there, and man, it's just...
So the chakra, the lower chakra, it's the animal nature of the human being. And our purpose as human beings is to transcend out of our animal nature into a higher consciousness. What is our animal nature? Our animal nature is our immediate pleasures, thirsts, hungers, desires, and the immediate things that we can to get to satiate ourselves. Those are our lower animal desires and natures. And the sex chakra is precisely that. Or it could be the one, I think maybe the sex chakra is the second one. I don't know. I can't remember.
So like a primitive kind of thing, the basic ones. Yeah. Okay.
The animal nature within man. Eat, fuck, drink, and be merry. Right?
Yeah.
And we are supposed to transcend that to have higher experiences and be more intellectual and more compassionate, more spiritual. We're supposed to stop and think before we act and not just act and be like, I'm going to take that because I need that now. I want that food now. You know, you have to think first and you have to be conscious of what you're doing. So the lower chakra, that's where they get into your animal nature because it's the easiest point of attack. You know, everyone wants sex, you know, everyone wants food. Everyone enjoys food and sex. So can we distort and twist and pervert their sexual nature? And then through that perversion and distortion that we've instilled in them, manipulate them and guide them towards even more perverse and corrupt things. And that's the point of a lot of the abuse. Introducing a lot of this abuse at a young age perverts the mind so that you have more perverted desires and needs and a way to control you through that. So all connected.
I do have a question here that I believe was asked twice. Are the locations used for programming on certain ley lines? Are you familiar with ley lines?
I haven't thought about this, but I would say absolutely yes. Absolutely yes, because it's not just ley lines, it's any place that generates some kind of power. Maybe ley lines have a particular use or purpose. My grandparents' house is on a ley line, and well, it's very hard to sleep there. You're woken up. Yeah. You're woken up throughout the night, and you're woken up like multiple times throughout the night. It's a nightmare. So I guess depending on what purpose the ceremony is for, they'll use it on ley lines or various energetic places.
Very interesting. And I do apologize if I'm getting away from some people's questions here. Chat's going pretty quick, and I'm waiting for open times to ask questions. So I apologize if I skipped over a few. Coco, do you have anything else that you would like to put out today?
How far along are we?
We're at 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Wow. So the usefulness of the targets. We talked about the usefulness of the practitioners. We didn't talk about the usefulness of the targets, not in detail. So some targets have a high vibratory energy. So say you have a child who's born into a family of occultists, and the cult aspect is secret. It's not known to the child. And that child was born special with a very powerful soul and energy, very beautiful, shining light inside them. That child will be brought into the ceremonies and rituals to connect them to the divine and utilize the divine energy within the child for their rituals. Not just the child, but as they grow older, and depending on how things go, the adult can consciously join the cult, or they can continue to be used against their knowledge. So that's the purpose of high vibratory soul. And then you have low vibratory souls, low vibratory people, targets. They can be utilized for specific purposes as well, depending on what they need. Usefulness aspect is also the mind control aspect. Kind of already spoke about that, I guess, where they get into your mind and are able to direct you. And depending on, if you're in their entertainment or if you're in politics or if there's something useful about you.
It's manipulation.
And then there's the aspect of being a battery. Now, this is my personal experience. I have a lot of energy and I can be used as a battery. And this is going into another very interesting thing, consciousness, egregore. So there's this whole aspect of the cult group where they can create what is known as an egregore. You can look up Mark Stavish. He wrote a book on this. An egregore is basically a sort of living entity that's created from the combined thoughts of a group of people. Now, these are created naturally, organically, but they are also created consciously by occult groups. So they'll have this realm of consciousness where they all connect. So within the movie Dr. Sleep, when these people entered into the minds of the other person when they were astral projecting, they go into their mind world, their dream world, and everyone has a different mind world, dream world that relates to them, right? It looks different and it holds your memories and it holds your experiences and your feelings. And the occult group, what they do is they basically open up this portal, and all of the people connected to the group, they jump through this portal and they leave behind their old sort of astral realms, dream realms, and enter into this new one where it's a combination of all of theirs. And there's a lot of demonic activity, a lot of entities involved in that, in creating this group mind, this group consciousness. And so what they can do with a target over time eventually is that they can call that target through astral projection or entering your dreams in through that portal into their realm of consciousness. So basically you leave behind what your dream realm has been your entire life and you enter into theirs. And once you enter into that realm, if it's a group of deranged, let's say satanic occultists, it's horrific. It's a horrific realm to enter into because the imagination knows no bounds, So when you get into the imagination of sick, perverted, demented people, and astral projection and outer body experience feels just as real as this right now. It's a different experience, but it feels just as real. So imagine going into that realm of consciousness in an outer body experience or astral projection and experiencing that realm of pure perversity and horror and being caught up in that realm. And within that realm, they're obviously generating a lot of chaotic energy. And when you bring someone who has a very powerful magnetic energy about them into your egregore of consciousness, you're feeding that group's occult powers.
Yeah.
And that's precisely what they did to me. And then there's another aspect of you can puppeteer someone's astral body. You can puppeteer someone etherically. So basically, you can program their astral body to carry out certain tasks within the astral realm. You can, I don't know if I can give an example right now. I think that's enough, what I just said there.
Okay. The realm that you were referring to, is this similar to, let's say, like something where people would visit during a psychedelic trip, such as like DMT? Or I know psilocybin technically isn't along the same lines. No?
No, not really.
Okay.
Because you see, the astral realm is an incredibly vast realm, and there's so many different layers to it and so many different pockets within it. And you can, within the astral realm, build a world. You can build a house in the astral realm through your imagination. If you have a powerful enough imagination, and if you have knowledge of magic knowledge of how to use the elements to accumulate energy within the interdimensional realms, you can build houses and palaces. You can build worlds within worlds, depending on how skilled you are. And we do this naturally with our own imagination and our own dreams. We do this naturally. We create these realms, we create these worlds. And if you're astral projecting, you can enter into other people's worlds and see them. Consciously, you can create these realms. Now, going into trips, you know, either with or without drugs, going into these trips where you're transcending into different dimensions, I like to think that most people are entering into a more general dimension where they're seeing the inner workings of the universe and nature. And because the astral realm is so infinitely vast, you could really enter anywhere. You could enter into any being's astral realm or something like that. I'd say to get into these realms that are created specifically by occult groups is something very hard to do because they're guarded and protected and gated. And then to get into what are the methods for creating these realms within the astral, you have to understand that the imagination isn't something arbitrary. The imagination is a powerful tool.
When cool, creamy ranch meets tangy, bold buffalo, the whole is greater than the sum of its sauce. Say howdy, partner, to new Buffalo Ranch sauce. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
At participating McDonald's.
The Who's Down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
Okay, Chad. Today you're gonna drive the all-electric Toyota BZ.
But my electric vehicle phobia. I'm not ready, Dr. Ross.
I believe in you.
Oh my gosh. We're inside it.
Try to take deep breaths, okay?
The ventilated seats, they're touching me.
You can do this, Chad. Drive the car. How do you feel, Chad?
I feel cured. Woohoo! I'm doing it!
The all-electric BZ. One drive can change your mind. Toyota. Let's go places.
This episode is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. What do you bring to a holiday party? Simple. A bottle of Casamigos. Because nothing gets the party started like a Casamigos margarita. Which isn't just for summer. In fact, it's the perfect pour all year round. Casamigos is the gift that always feels right. Because anything goes with my Casamigos. Please drink responsibly. Imported by Casamigos Spirits Company, White Plains, New York. Casamigos Tequila, 40% alcohol by volume.
Hey, the vibes are slipping. I think it's time to bring out the Velveeta shells and cheese. The holidays are a time to go all in on indulgence. Headline your meals with the rich, creamy meltiness of Velveeta shells and cheese and satisfy your holiday cravings like no other. Bring that main course energy to your side dish. Celebrate extra with Velveeta these holidays.
Tool. And that's not something that you just see on a bumper sticker. It's literally the source of all magic. Imagine the universe as one big imagination. Imagine God as one big imagination that thought everything into existence through its imaginative capacity. That would mean that our imagination holds the same power as the creator of all things in the universe. Imagine the universe as one big, massive mind, and that this physical realm is the furthest thing from the truth. And that to get closer to that true realm where everything comes from, enter into the mind, enter into the imagination.
Very, very interesting concepts. We've talked a lot about similar things. I'm gonna stay away from that because we would have another 2-hour conversation on that alone. I think I've
said enough. I mean, whatever you want to ask.
Well, I got a question from somebody on Twitch. A Spectrum Assassin wants to know, what about someone who's been able to travel in dreams since a young age, having wild dreams that have never been seen before, so it couldn't be a conjuring of the subconscious.
He means that when he traveled in his dreams, he's seen places that he'd never seen before, so it has to be something coming from someone somewhere else? Is that what he's trying to say?
Spectrum, if you could clarify the question, I could re-ask, or if you could answer her question. I got somebody from YouTube asking, was your grandfather a victim of the programming? Again, if you're not comfortable answering certain things, just perfectly fine.
I want to respect my grandparents' privacy in a way. I haven't even spoken about these things with them. I think I've mentioned enough that I've seen things done around them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to really think properly about that before I say anything else on it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I understand it. I'm sure they do too. Let's see. Spectrum on Twitch got back to us. Like, I had a dream of Cthulhu off in the distance of a cityscape. Had never heard of Cthulhu before then or seen anything on TV of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Cthulhu would be that, if he's talking about the same thing, it'd be that the creature thought up by H.P. Lovecraft.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft was definitely a magician. And he was definitely astral projecting. He was definitely going to other realms. Those are not just stories, what that guy is talking about.
Yeah.
As for the names, now maybe the name is really coming from interdimensional realm and it's come out and he's heard the name. But as for most entities, they have multiple names. They have many names. It comes out differently depending on who the entity is talking to. But it can use the same name. And that realm, if H.P. Lovecraft had tuned in on that realm and seen this creature and heard this creature, and then wrote about it, obviously the power of the imagination of all of the people that read it contribute to the graphic nature of what you're going to see if you're able to tune in on that. And this is going back to the CIA military programs in the United States of remote viewing. They want to see inside a safe, inside a top secret location, they can. You want to see inside an interdimensional realm to a interdimensional entity that's thousands of years old, you can. We all have that capacity.
So it would be, let's just use the example of the safe for a second. And because a lot of people in the chat over in YouTube are saying connections with like the Upside Down from the show Stranger Things. So if we were to use that as the example, ooh, what do you got there?
We call these dum-dums. There's thousands of them and we don't know what to do about it. They're little beetles. Oh. They're just everywhere all the time.
I think we have those in Wisconsin too. But let's say like if you the government or whatever entity wanted to see inside of a safe, right? They would project into the astral realm, physically move about, which would correlate to the physical realm that we're in now. And then at will pop in and out between the two realms. So let's say if they know, what do you got?
In those programs, for those specific purposes, they're not going into the astral realm. The astral realm is it's a crazy realm where anything can appear to you, and it can appear in all kinds of crazy ways. They're doing remote viewing, which is using the mental body. Not the astral body, the mental body. So they're going to see things in a way that correlates to the physical realm. If you use the astral body, sure, you could achieve it if you're skilled, but you never really know if what you're seeing in the astral realm is what you're actually seeing in the real world. You would want to use your mental vehicle. We have a mind body, we have an astral body, we have a spirit body. You have various bodies. The mind body is the closest thing to your, so your soul doesn't really feel feelings. It's moral. The soul is moral, but it doesn't really feel feelings. It doesn't feel pleasure or pain. It's more of a real mind, a real intellect. It's where the reason comes from, the soul. So when you're remote viewing, you're using this mind. You're using the lower mind that's connected to the earth. So different ways of perceiving.
Interesting. We're going to dive into that more when you come back. Because I think Jeff is going to have a lot of really good questions for you on that one. That's more up Jeff's realm. That's the whole purpose of this podcast, right? We all specialize in certain things, and Jeff is the guy to really dive into that one. So
I miss Jeff. We miss you, Jeff.
So we'll get Jeff back on for the next one. He was supposed to be here tonight, but something came up, and we're all human.
Well, I hope he's having fun, wherever he is.
I'm sure he is. I hope he's getting tired. This is almost his bedtime, so
okay.
he wouldn't be able to last at 3:00 in the morning. He'd be done. No, but before we close out, was there anything else that you wanted to put out?
Not that I can think about. I mean, everything that I said, we could go into way more detail about every single aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how to do that effectively yet. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to go into as much detail as I can, but I'm nervous and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I don't know. I'm trying my best.
One step at a time. I think you're on the right path. You're doing a lot of really cool things. You're taking it slow, which I respect it. There's a lot to unravel here, and it doesn't need to be hasteful. Just take your time. But you're always welcome to come back on the show. Always welcome. And I hope to see you back on here again so we can delve into this astral body stuff, because I think there's a whole nother episode just in that alone. It's very fascinating.
Absolutely. Now we should spend a full episode talking about mind control.
Yes.
Not the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
the hardcore mind control aspect and technology, because I have some pretty big shit to reveal.
Good.
About that.
That's honestly that's more or less the route that I thought we were going down tonight. But that's yes.
I wanted to start with the magic. I wanted to go into more detail about the magic because, as I said before, the magic has to happen for the technology stuff and mind control stuff to work. So
cool.
In following that line of reasoning, we figure out the magic stuff first together, and then we talk about the mind control stuff and the technology stuff.
Perfect.
That's next.
Perfect. All right, cool. You're all good then?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. You brought the crowd tonight. Good stuff. Thanks, Coco. If you could just hang out just for a few minutes after we cut off the recording, that way I could just make sure I have your stuff uploaded. And then I'll let you go to bed because it's 2:00 in the morning there now.
Well, I've got so much adrenaline right now. I'm up in a little bed.
You also drank a whole pot of tea too.
Oh, it's not caffeinated tea. It's
I was gonna say
it's a type of red flower, and it's stinging nettle, and oregano.
Oh man, I seen you taking swigs there, and I'm like, oh man, she's never gonna go to sleep.
It's not caffeine. No, it's not caffeine.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Coco. It really is, and I love unraveling more of your story, more of your knowledge, more of your understanding of the world. It's absolutely fascinating stuff. It's difficult to be a podcast host when you're here because I like to just sit here and listen to you. It was nice to be able to hear you on Gareth Ike's show because I got to kind of sit in the passenger seat there and just go along for the ride. So you're fascinating, and I love it. I love it.
Well, I love your energy, and I love Jeff's energy. I like talking with you guys. I feel, very comfortable. You guys are very cool. So I appreciate that.
Good stuff. Well, ditto. Seriously, amazing stuff. All right. Well, that has been another episode of the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. Just a few quick announcements. We have episode 250 coming up here pretty soon, which I do have a special surprise for everybody. I will be unveiling more information on a project that I've been working on for over a year now for episode 250. Thank you to everybody that took the time to come out and listen to this episode. Thank you to everybody who came out just solely for Coco. I can almost guarantee that a majority of you did just that, and I appreciate you coming by and asking the questions.
Watch more of his episodes.
There's almost 250 of them if you want to, but they're not all as high quality as Coco. But there are some good ones. Don't get me wrong. There's some amazing ones, but Coco really brings the house. Anyways, thank you, everybody. And until next time, we'll see you in the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. If you're looking for more of our stuff, head on over to infiniterabbithole.com, where you can find links to all the podcast players that we are available on, and even our video platforms such as TikTok and YouTube. While you're there, make sure to check out all the links for our socials and hit that follow so you know when all the new stuff from our podcast comes out. And until next time, travelers, we'll see you right here in the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye.
Men need a store that has the right thing for their thing, like a Kenneth Cole suit made with Choflex fabric to keep them cool at their cousin-in-law's third wedding in the middle of July. Whatever the thing, Men's Warehouse has the clothes for it. Love the way you look, Men's Warehouse.